that right? All right, cool. Psalms 123. All right, well, I want to say it's been a great blessing to be back home. Good to see all of you guys. Glad to be back at the home church and see faces I haven't seen in a long time. It's good to be here for a few weeks. And I'm excited to see what the Lord has this summer with all that we're talking about with Vacation Bible School and camp meeting coming up and the other things that we're planning on doing. I'm really excited, and hopefully this will be a good time for the church, and I want to be able to get back involved, and planning on coming back when I graduate and getting back into the grind of things. So, all right, Psalms 123, verse number 2, it says, "Behold, as the eyes of servants look unto the hand of their masters, and as the eyes of a maiden upon the hand of their mistress, so our eyes wait upon the Lord our God, until that He have mercy upon us." Waiting. I'll never forget, one time we were at, some of y'all may remember Brother Guffey, missionary down in New Mexico. We went down to his place one time, and he used to raise Rottweilers. And he told us one time that his dogs understood the difference between wait and stay. He would train those dogs, kind of police stuff. He would train them pre-police dog stuff. And so he trained them the difference between wait and stay. And stay, he would tell them, sit and stay. And that meant, you stay there until I come back. And he said, wait can mean two different things. He said, wait can either mean just like stay, you stay there and you wait until I come back, or wait until I call you. And I never forgot that. And but that's a whole other thing than what we're dealing with here. But it can mean the same thing. Wait can also mean serve, like a waiter in a restaurant. He's waiting on you. Waiting to see what you need. Waiting to see if there's anything he can make your stay comfortable. Waiting to see if he can get a better tip. That's one of the differences here. But we can do all three. And we're supposed to do all three. Sometimes in trials and problems, or when you're dealing with issues, you just need to wait. And that's something I had to go through the past year or so. I had some life choices I was making, some things I was dealing with, where I just had to make my own decisions. Not because I was raised that way, but I believe that was right. And I had to come to that point where I was like, I believe this is right, and I'm going to do it this way, and this is what I want to do the rest of my life. But I had to wait. Some of those things, it took a lot of prayer, fasting, and setting myself apart, trying to find quiet, trying to find the Lord. And it took time, but you know what? I had to wait. I had to serve the Lord. I didn't just sit there, and I couldn't just, I work a full-time job. I took 17 credits last semester, 17 hours in a week of classes, 40 hours a week at work. I don't have a lot of time to myself. But, at the school, of course, you have to. You don't have a choice. You're a full-time ministry as well. So on the weekends, we're doing 12 hours of ministry, Saturday and Sunday, total 12 hours. And there's a difference, though, when you're made to and when you want to. And I had to wait on the Lord. So I was doing visitation, but I was also studying my Bible. I was getting ready. I was bettering myself. I was trying to find God's will in things, and it was a lot of work. But I had to define that myself. Look at, if you would, with me to Psalms chapter 25. Psalms chapter 25 and verse number 5. Psalms 25, verse number 5. Lead me in thy truth and teach me, for thou art the God of my salvation. On thee do I wait all the day. Sometimes when we're waiting on God, God's trying to teach us things. And God's trying to sanctify us, pull us apart, set us in a spot where He's like, okay, look, you got to understand something. trying to teach you some things. You need to understand, it says here in verse number 5, in thy truth and teach me. That's studying. That's paying attention in the services. That's me learning my classes. That's a whole lot of things in my life. In thy truth. I had to come to a point where I was like, God, my way's not working. God, I need to find what you have me to do here. Lord, I'm waiting on what you want me to do. Lord, I need your guidance. His truth is there. I found it. Amen. You have to be able to look. It's all right there. It's not like, I was talking to my dad through a lot of things, I talk to my dad every day, but I was talking to my dad through some things. I was seeking his counsel and stuff, and I was like, there's not a verse that says, Kyle Hanks, go to such and such and do such and such. It's not there. You'd be surprised what's in the Bible and how it applies to your life. Sometimes we find those things when we're in pain. There's a verse that says, the Lord's tenderhearted to those in sorrow. Somewhere is in Proverbs, I think. And God makes things evident to you when you want them. Go with me to Romans chapter 9. Romans chapter 9. Romans chapter 9, verse number 20. Romans 9 and verse number 20. It says, Nay, but, O man, who art thou that repliest against God? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, Why hast thou made me thus? Hath not the potter power over the clay, or the same lump to make one vessel into honor and another unto dishonor? This is the old pottery illustration here. That takes time. But one of the biggest things where the potter finds out that vessel's going to be worth anything is when it's in the fire. And that takes time. And that takes patience on the potter's end. He's got to wait and find out that vessel's going to be worth anything or not. He's going to have to tear it down, go back through it, go make another one, get rid of the clay, go get a new lump, start on it. That takes time. That takes molding. That's God preparing us for what He have us to do. He's gonna smooth that edge out over here. He's gonna pick this up over here. He's gonna push this right here. He's gonna form you. That takes time. That takes pressure. It takes fire. That's how a Christian is made. A Christian is made through trial and tribulation, and when he's serving and when he's faithful, God is like, that's mine. That's mine right there. I'm proud of this one. This is a vessel of honor. But that doesn't come overnight. And that doesn't come like for me. I've had to make choices. I've had to decide I'm going to do these things. It takes deliberate choices and time and patience, and God will do what He needs to do. Like I said just a while ago, it's sanctifying. The potter, he's setting this apart over here. He's making it into what He's going to have it to do. We can't tell God, no, I'm not going to do this. You can. You don't want to, though. And God, He's sanctifying us, and we need to be ready. And like I said, you need to make your own choices. You need to decide on your own things, and you need to be able to find God's truth. And when you find that, God's going to make you the way He needs it. He's going to make that. He's going to round it. He's going to edge it. He's going to decorate it. And it's going to be one of His honor. But that takes time, and you need to be willing. Also, go back with me to, I should have told you to stay there, in Psalms 25. Back to Psalms 25. This time I'm going to be in verse number 21. Psalms 25 and verse number 21. It says, Let integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I wait on Thee. Sometimes in this waiting period, and let's say, like I said, with pain, or there's many different different ways of going through this waiting period. But people are watching you because they can tell something's up. Something's bothering you. You're not responding to certain things the way you used to. You don't find some things funny. You don't want to hang out on your lunch break. You don't want to, there's a lot of things. And some of that becomes warfare. And some of that becomes trials even harder than what you just feel like it's getting harder and harder, and then people are starting to bother you, and people are starting to get involved, and you just you leave me alone, I'm okay, but then you start dealing with your enemies. Your enemies notice those things. And that's when it gets real. But God fights our battles. Amen. We don't have to do anything when it comes to these things. Wait on the Lord. It's when we take things in our own hands and we decide, God, I'm just going to tell this person, leave me alone. I'm going to go tell this person, mind your own business. No. It says in verse number 21, let integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I wait on thee. God's going to take care of it himself. Amen. As long as you remain true to Him, you stay faithful, you're being a good Christian, you're soul winning, you're being faithful in your ministry, you're praying, you're reading your Bible. It's your basic fundamentals. You stay with those things, nothing can stand against you. And as long as you're in God's will, nothing can stand against you. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing that can hurt you. Go with me to Isaiah 52. Isaiah 52 and verse number 12. Isaiah 52, verse number 12. Nothing to be afraid of. For ye shall not go out with haste, nor go out by flight. For the Lord will go before you, and the God of Israel will be your reward. That word, reward, that means rear guard. You just got to walk through it. Just make it through it. Don't get distracted by it. Don't let it bring you down. Don't take things in your own hand. Just wait on God. God's got it all. And what's funny is your enemies, they find your weak points. They think that they can get in your head, and a lot of times they do. But God takes care of things on His own hand, either through other people, other situations. God's got everything under control. And sometimes, back at school, I have some really good friends. And they've helped me through my work and stuff. They've allowed me to get hired on, and that was a battle because I was going through some financial struggles. And they helped me get hired on there. But as soon as I got hired on, one of the guys who was my shift lead was I don't know. I guess he didn't like me or something, and he wanted somebody else to get hired instead. And I had some problems at the very beginning, and he was just on my back, pushing me, and I couldn't do anything right. Everything was wrong. I wasn't fast enough. I had nobody would talk to me. It was really rough, and I just stayed at it, just kept doing my thing. Just do your job. If you don't do your job, yeah, you're gonna have real problems. But just did my job, and I stayed with it, and. People started recognizing that, and I started pushing myself further and further, and because of that, the upper management noticed it, and they called me in to have a meeting, and I was like, this is it. I was like, I don't know what I did. I knew it wasn't good, and I walked in, and they asked me a whole bunch of questions on down the ride. This was a couple weeks ago. And it hasn't been bad, but there was when I asked them for this time off, it was kind of like, they thought I was going to quit because there was a couple job opportunities. They thought I was going to leave, and there was a lot of people leaving and stuff. And they called me to the office, and I had a meeting with them. And they said, we enjoy having you here. You're a great asset to our company, but that but is what got me. And I was like, okay. And I was waiting for them, and they told me, we want to promote you when you come back. And so, Lord willing, when I get back there, I'm going to be promoted to a better position and stuff. But I'll tell you, in the beginning of that, it was a trial, because I couldn't make anybody happy. I couldn't make, I didn't know what was going on. There was a lot of talk amongst clusters of management and stuff, and it was really rough for a while there. But it was one of those things that God did for me, because I prayed. I was like, God, I really need this job. It's supplying my needs. It's giving me a little extra on the side I can put in savings. Lord, I need you to keep this. Help them to see what's going on, and they did. And that shift lead actually got fired. And they got a new shift lead in, and things got better. That's just a basic, there's been a lot of things that have happened, where you could say tribulation and trial, and I had to wait, and that's just one of the great things, with God is He's faithful. And you don't have to worry about being someone else so you can defend yourself, and you don't have to change who you are because God's on your side. And that's just one of the blessings. So let's go ahead and pray. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you, Lord, for what you've done for us. I thank